Greetings, everyone. Joining me on today's Next Gen North podcast is Trevor Jenkins. Trevor is an artist who gave up all his material possessions to embark on a spiritual journey and is known as a rubbish warrior around the top end. In this episode, Trevor takes us through his early life, experiences being homeless, and in the justice system. We hope you enjoyed the episode. All right, Trevor Jenkins, thank you for joining us on the Next Gen North podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Stuart. Yeah.
So we ran into each other for the first time at Woolworths the other day.
Yeah.
For a man with as public a persona as yours,
Yeah.
you were very, very open and welcoming for me to come and chat to you. Are all your public interactions as pleasant as that one?
Yeah, I try to just be normal. Yeah, I try to be relaxed, and I don't really, honestly, I think all the Rubbish Warrior thing, I don't really believe in it. So it's not like it's something that's there, and I try to relate to it, but I want to just be a normal person, have a normal relationships. So you could be just a person coming up to me and we could be starting a friendship. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's all I see.
Yeah.
But I do have really negative stuff as well. So, but it just depends.
And do you think it's because of maybe people's perception of you, from the media and things like that? Or
it's only since Facebook and all that, like people put really, since then. Before then, not really. Do you know what I mean? It's only since people have done all that, they can write whatever they think. And then I was really surprised. I was talking to you before about the Shannon's one, the Mango Inquirer.
Yep.
And people were coming up to me and were saying, how was France? Like this? And I said, what do you mean, how's France? And then they go, the minister, the arts minister had grants and they were giving away arts grants, right? And they gave one to me, okay, supposedly, to go and work with Banksy in France. And and people were coming up to me and go, oh, wow, that's incredible, man. What's France like with Banksy? And I'm going, what do you mean? That's just crap. Oh, no, you better ring up the arts minister because the arts minister's giving you a grant. Maybe you don't know about it. And so then I was like, where did this come from? Because I was never on social media.
Right.
So then I got onto the thing and it was still going. This guy was still going on. Oh, Trevor. And it was actually during COVID.
Right.
So no one was going anywhere. No one and anyway, it had on there like that. Chancey Peach there was all these extra money he had, so he decided to give away arts grants, and 10 people got to go to France with Banksy, and I was chosen. But I had police officers, I had people at the markets. There was at least 20, 30 people come up to me. Even this lady, Catherine Miles, who paints portraits and that, and all pretty sane people.
Yeah.
And they just read that, and that was so when people will write in, oh, I saw Trevor walking around at night. It was one I saw when I got onto that website.
Yep.
There was comments, and the comments was like, oh, yeah, Trevor's going, in the middle of the night, I've seen him going around, he climbs into people's gardens, I've seen him in the middle of my garden, like this kind of thing.
Just making up stories.
It's just crap,
Yeah.
you know. And then I tried to go, the only way you can make a comment on Facebook is to join Facebook and then start your own thing. So I had to go in, start my own thing, cancel it all so you couldn't make comments, cancel them, then made a comment and say, oh, I think this is crap, like that.
Yeah.
I did that for about a while. Then I just thought, oh, this is ridiculous. I can't control it.
Yep.
And then I just thought, well, you have your genuine friends, people who know you, people who don't know you. So you got to have people who come up and go, they'll scream out at the top of their voice, put the rubbish in the bin, you're an idiot. No, you're just creating crap all over Darwin, you're getting rubbish out of bin, like that.
Yeah.
And just be really, really aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not much you can do about it, really. It gets you down, but then someone will drive up, a woman will drive up with her kids going to school, a little girl will come out and give you her lunch that she's got to eat at school and go, hey, we really love your sculptures. This is really great. We like that. So and that can happen 5 minutes after someone's abused you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you can't be turned off
Yep.
because you won't get the good stuff.
Yep.
So like that, I just think that's life going back to anyone. Like, I mean, I guess as an artist, you take the steps to be in the limelight. You want to be out there. Do you know what I mean? And
Yep.
you want to say something. So you can't not take the bad as well, because that's the way it is.
Yep.
So like, and I think it's worse now, but it's worse for everybody. Like you have really, really genuine people, and they get pissed on, you know, and you go, well, look, I'm just part of that. So you just gotta. I don't really get involved with social media at all. I don't look at it. I don't have accounts, and that's the way. Yeah. So then that's the way it is, you know.
Yeah.
So, but it's okay. I mean, I don't know.
It's just like art, though, isn't it? Life, it's just subjective, and there's good and bad in it, and it's in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah,
to a certain extent.
yeah. Like I never liked. Like I didn't really grow up doing art, and my mum and dad were pretty poor, and they sort of would never go to an art gallery. Although a few times, like they would actually drive you in on a Sunday, and we go to the art gallery museum, and my dad would go around. But I knew that they didn't know anything much about it. Like, and I was never at that intellectual level, you know. And so I never ever thought. I went to art school, and I remember to get in a gallery. This is in the 1990s. If you were doing something in those days, there was, I don't know, like podcasts didn't exist. There wasn't really video. There wasn't video cameras were like huge things that you with a video cassette, you know.
Yep.
And then so there wasn't just that immediate thing of people being filmed immediately. If someone pulled out a camera, everyone's going like that and getting uptight, and kind of there was two realities going on. People went on, and as soon as, oh, what are you doing with a camera? You can't have a camera. You don't have a camera. You weren't allowed to do that. And even when phones first came out, they were really like, don't do that. But now they can't stop it. But it's like when I was at art school, it was like, I've forgotten, Stuart.
That's okay.
What are we talking
That's
about?
fine. We're just talking about life and art, and
Yeah.
So where did you go to art school? Whereabouts?
I went to Newcastle.
Okay.
I wanted to get into the classy art schools. I couldn't get into the classy art schools. So I tried to get into city art, and I lived in Sydney.
Yep.
And I couldn't even get into TAFE classes. And I actually had... I always thought I was an artist, but then in those days you had to... that's what I was going to say before. Art was mainly, when I went to art school, was drawing, painting, all the classical arts. There was a little bit of fibre arts, a little bit of alternative arts, but there wasn't much. Everything was like, there was the classical school. So that was like, you drew very well, you painted, and then that led into sculpture, and then there was ceramics, and video, and that was just starting. So there wasn't the online world at all.
So it's a very sort of linear pathway through.
Yeah, well, to get into a gallery, it'd have to be like that painting up there. You could, if I did a drawing, so most artists would do a drawing, whatever, but then what you had to do was put it down and put it in a frame. And to frame things cost you about $800 at that time, which is a lot of money. And if you didn't have that, you couldn't really exhibit in a gallery because they wouldn't take it. They didn't want it just out on the wall. You had to do it yourself. So then you had to put that money in, then pay maybe another fee as well to join the gallery or whatever. So that was $1,000 you're putting up. And then to put on an opening, maybe that's another $200 or $300. Then most people, and even today it's the same, you'll sell one painting. Do you know? And then you've got another 4 or 5 sitting in your thing that you don't sell. And then if you had wealthy parents or you had a wealthy background, that's okay. And so most of the time it wasn't for poor people. Mm-hmm. So then it was hard. Like I remember going to art school, getting really excited. I put in my resume. You had to put in resumes for that. So I went around, there was proper black and white photography with in the darkroom. Mm. And I loved art school because I really wanted to go into all those things, and I couldn't really afford to go and hire it privately. You could get a dark room, but it was like $200, $300 to go and recording studio, $400. And if you didn't know anything about it, and you were just used to going, that's what I did which you can do now. I could record like this, put it on something, and put it on Spotify or something, or what are those ones where you can sell the songs yourself.
Yep.
And I used to do I had a little tape deck, and I'd record and just sit there and record my voice and walk around. I used to have this big cassette thing. I had a big Garfield bag. I put a big double cassette in it, put cassettes in the radio, had little things that I wrote on, and then I used to walk all day, get up in the morning, about 6 o'clock in the morning, walk to Parramatta. I used to live near Parramatta around, get on the train, go on the train for $1, go to Sydney, come around, go back down towards North Sydney, come back down, get home about 10 o'clock at night, and just talk about life. I'd sit there and go, I'm sitting a bit like this, but I go, I'm sitting on the side. It'd be like, I'm sitting in Smith Street now, and I've just walked around. There's people going down, and I'd talk like that, and then but out of that would come songs and ideas, and you became happy with what you were thinking, and you knew how you understand thought processes, and you felt comfortable, and you understood that. I remember putting on a tape one time and just letting it run, and I talked in the morning, and you get up and I had this thing on just saying how you feel, and so I go, I'm really tired, I don't really want to be alive, life's really shit, like that, and I'd say that, and then naturally you start to look out the window, the sun's getting up, something else, and you say something, and then you realise by about 9 o'clock you go, oh wow, it's a really great day, I'm really happy I'm here, like this. And so all that thing about, we talked about suicide a bit before, but I think you do really have to look at your own thoughts and go, well, they're not really real in a lot of senses. They're not actually expressing what you think, what's going on. I guess it's not a reality.
Right.
So I also don't necessarily think there's a separation between there's art and expression as a reality, but then there's a truth. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So even when we're talking and you get a little snapshot, that's not whatever the truth of me or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Because that's other people have had experiences of me, and that's you know what I mean.
Yep.
And then that's not coming across. So I can sound this incredible person here, and then this person over here who I've treated like an absolute cunt to. And that's a reality. Sure. They've experienced it, And so you as you get older, you go, okay, this but that's all. I think that's all part of art.
Yep.
Like I think art. To me, art would be a full expression of that. That there'd be the full joy, the amazing goodness or beauty or ethereality or spiritual over there. But then there's these dark times over here that you're no one, you think you're crap, the world's against you or whatever. They implement each other. They're in there, know. And I. I'm a Christian now, but it's taken a long time for me to come to that.
Right.
But that's really important to me too. So art to me is still. Someone said to me something great. They said about the artist relationship. There's the artist relationship with the materials, what they do, and then there's the audience's relationship with the artist. Completely different.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because what's going on there is completely different to what's going on there. So the artist is doing whatever, but they're not doing it for the audience. They're doing it for the art itself and making something. Do you know what I mean? I guess you make it to look at that, but that's not ultimately what it's about.
Right.
And then so, anyway. But we were talking about art school too, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's okay. But you mentioned you've become religious. How did that come about? Was that sort of a fairly later on in life experience, or was it something that you sort of was always there for you?
I don't like saying religious.
Oh, sorry.
Like not, but
how would you characterise it?
I don't mind you saying it, but it's just like not a personal relationship with God. I see.
Okay.
So getting to know your Creator in a sense. So I guess when I was at school, I went to school down in Carlingford, and so I was born in '64.
Okay.
I'm 59 now.
Yeah, Carlingford.
I'm a man. Yeah. If you can say that now, I don't know. You're allowed to. You might be able to say that.
You can say it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know, but I'm just saying.
So your relationship with God and
How did it come? There used to be scripture at school when I was at school.
Right.
So there was an hour each week where you went away and all the Catholics went to one place, Anglicans, and then you'd go. So I sort of said I was an Anglican, although I never really, I think I probably got baptised or whatever, but Mum and Dad didn't go to church. But over the years, like I would go there and I remember still, like you sort of think you don't pay that much attention, like you sort of think you don't pay that much attention to those things. And I still remember this day they had a test that, like in the scripture, they had a test on the Bible and they did this thing and I was the only one in the whole class that got every question right. And I'm looking up like this, like,
wow.
How did that happen? Like I must have been listening,
Yeah.
like it was all about what happened to David and Moses and all these things. And I'd remembered and I thought, I was embarrassed. I thought, oh my God, like I don't want to be good. Like I don't want to be the Bible guy. I don't want to be like that, you know. And I thought I must have related to it, you know.
Sure.
And then, but I would still, at that stage in my life, all through, I don't know, from about 9 or 10, it's funny, the daily newspaper in New South Wales at least always used to have a page 3 girl, which was topless. They used to have topless women in the paper every day.
Okay.
And then on a Sunday there was this Mirror paper. The Mirror used to do that. So there was the Telegraph and the Herald, and they were like that, and the Mirror was like racy and kind of sexual comics and stuff.
Right.
And so and that was acceptable. So you could be a young boy like this and just go, oh, it's page 3. And like I used to collect them all. I used to have a whole collection of all these topless girls and stuff. And that was my, like, I could never, other people used to find porn. I could never find it anywhere. So but then eventually I started reading porn, which completely, now it's completely ruined my relationship, how I relate to women.
Right.
So that's another part of my life as well. But like at that time, what was that coming from? Spirituality, I guess, I seem to always be looking at life from the outside a bit, or sitting there and watching life like a movie a little bit, you know, like because I was about 10 years between my brother and sister. So I was sitting there and their life was playing out. So they were about, you know, I'd be 8 or 9 and they were 14, 15 going through shit with my parents. And then they were 17, 18 going through shit with my parents. And then they were 21 going through shit with my parents. But I was there just watching it, you know. And so I remember my sister, for example. So I must have been about 10. So my sister's getting up to, I must have been less than that. So she's 10 years older exactly. So I must have been 7 or 8. And then she was going out and she had this sort of, it was post-60s but just out of the 60s. So then 7 or 8 I would have been like 71 or something like that.
Yep. And
so she was wearing this like boob tube thing and like hot pants.
Right.
And like you had to get, in our house you had to get permission to go out the front door. Like, you know, where are you going? You're not dressed the right way, like this.
Yeah. So fairly conservative household, was it, would you say?
I guess, but not like I say, they didn't go to church.
Yeah.
And there was no reason, not outwardly, and they were pretty easygoing to me. But then I look back and it was quite strict. But that was pretty common the way I grew up. So around where I was, it was, I I mean, people have said it's like the Bible Belt around that inner northern suburbs, but also I also think that a lot of that era, the people came through the war, so they grew up in the 20s and then they went through to the 40s. So my dad Brill creamed his hair, had long socks, had kind of the pants like that. Really, really, you just didn't go out unless you were dressed.
Right.
So if my mum was going, we used to have the shops across the road, like from here out to the front, the cafe.
Yep.
She would go in, get dressed, put on stockings, put lipstick on.
To the nines, as they would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Just to go across the road. You
Wow.
know, and that means like putting on the full bra, putting on the thing, make sure your petticoats thing like that. And there was I remember my nan ringing up my mum because she would buy dresses at Target. And then her era, so she was born in 1899. So then,
Wow.
So this is about the 70s, and my nan was buying dresses from Target, but the dresses were coming above the knee. Oh my God, you know, and so my nan's petticoat was going below where the dress was. So my nan would ring up my mum and say, look, I want the dress to go down below the petticoat. So my mum had to get on the bus, get on something, go way over to Seven Hills, which was like, say, going out from here to Palmerston, then go down, catch another bus, go up to my nan's place and get on the sewing machine, sew all the thing, take the hem down, get my nan to get out, dress it. Oh, that's really good, fellas. And like that, like a whole day, like a whole whatever time.
Yeah.
And that was really important because you just didn't want to, you know, you can't look up a woman's dress. You couldn't do that. You couldn't like that.
You didn't want to give the wrong impression.
Yeah. Well, you just didn't do it. You didn't get a divorce. You didn't kind of thing. You didn't really get drunk in public. There was like, that was what it is. And then my sister was saying, I'm going out. And I'm sitting there and it's just this little hall. And she's going, right, and she's wearing, and my dad and my brother were standing there and my mum and then me. And I thought, there's no way she's got to get out the front door. Not like this, you know?
Yeah.
And she's gone, she didn't swear, but it was like, she goes, pig's bum. That was like the swearing in those days. Pig's bum, Keith. And I thought, no way. Like she's calling my dad by his first name.
Right.
And then she goes, and they're calling, you're a slut. You can't go out like this. Wow. And then my mum's just standing there not saying anything because there wasn't really feminism even by that time.
Yeah.
And then so she goes, pig's bum, Keith, and she walks out the front door. Oh my God! Like I was as a kid. So you can, if you just want to walk out the front door, you can. That's okay. There's a world outside. You can do what you want to do. So my sister was quite influential on me.
It must have been a revelation for you.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Was she a part of that sort of 70s flower power sort of generate that peace, you know, anti-war sort of
but still within... She still respected my mum and dad. Sure. So she sort of... It was really funny. So she didn't go completely rebellious, but then... I mean, she told me later, like she had she'd had different boyfriends, and I remember going on a trip to Hat's Head or something. And she did go up and do camping, and she was a bit about that. I still remember she was up 74. This is like I'd never been to Darwin in my life, and then 74, she was up camping with a boyfriend, sent a Hat Head somewhere, which was up mid-north coast, I think, and then she sent this postcard back, and Cyclone Tracy had just come in and they said, oh, Cyclone Tracy, blah, 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 and then we watched it on telly. But I had no idea. Like I was a little kid watching it, and so it was like, I would have been about 10 maybe, but it's just like I probably didn't even know where it was in Australia. I didn't know anything about, you know.
Yep.
And then we talked about that a bit, and it was sort of funny once you come up and you get immersed in the whole Darwin culture, but I didn't know anything really.
Yep.
And my dad came up to Gove, and he sent some postcards back, and they had this like all this red sand and stuff in it because like everyone wrote letters then. Phone was pretty expensive, STD phone calls, and you could make a phone call anywhere in Australia for 20 cents for however long you liked.
Yeah.
But then if you locally would say be here to Palmerston, but if you wanted to ring up, say,
interstate or something?
Yeah,
or?
interstate or just even rural. So
Yep.
if you want to bring Alice Springs or
Okay.
say down Kakadu, that would be STD, and STD would be timed. And
Yep.
so it was better. If you rang during the day, your money would go up, so it'd become $1 a minute, and then $2 a minute, and then $3 a minute, the more you went along. So you went on hours, you were building up a bill, and but it'd go beep, and it'd go beep, and it'd go beep every minute and 3 minutes. But then on a Sunday it was better, and then Saturday night, I think Saturday night really late after midnight, and then Sunday night after 10. It was cheaper. So you'd see people at the public phone after 10 o'clock and they were ringing their mum or ringing their something like that.
Yeah.
But this is before mobile phones didn't exist. So then people had to talk to each other. So then you couldn't, if you got to meet, like if I wanted to meet you, like this even today,
Yep.
I'd have to ring you up at whatever, when you first got up, 7 o'clock, right at Stuart, we're going to meet. And then you would be there in the cafe talking to people or something, because that's what you did.
Yeah.
You know, you had to talk. You weren't just going to sit there and do nothing, because you couldn't sit there and scroll on your phone, and you couldn't get up and go somewhere, and you couldn't,
Yeah.
I've got to take a phone call. You talked to people and you sat there, and people were all together, and you had to be somewhere, and if you didn't turn up, and then once the end of the day was, you couldn't ring them up. It's like wrong to ring people up once they got home. So you
Right.
didn't, unless you knew them, but the work couldn't ring you up or whatever, that kind of stuff. So it was different, and you couldn't. I've noticed that completely. So then, because I grew up in that era without any phones, being able to talk on mobiles. The first mobile I ever saw was when I was at after art school. So this is like 1990. I went to art school up in Newcastle.
Yep.
And then I remember seeing a guy come down onto the railway station at Epping, and he had like a trolley like that with his battery case, and he had his phone like that, and you wound the phone up
Wow.
like that, like huge. And I just thought, what an idiot! Like that's ridiculous.
Well, it's not practical, is it?
It was never going to catch on. That's what I said. Mobile phones, that's rubbish, And I remember I was trying to ring up the psychologist then, and I got on, and he must have had either a mobile or a sat phone or something. And he goes, I'm at the airport. And then my money was just going ting, 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 ting. I spent about $8 just talking to him.
Yeah.
And I thought, stuff that. Like I'm not even getting involved with that. I'm not got anything. So that was about the time after art school in 1990, about 93, I just took off, and I gave away all my money and I walked. And so I gave away all my ID, gave away everything and just everything.
Wow.
And just walked on the road and started to walk. I started up in Newcastle, and I walked. I was got to walk home more or less, and I got to about Woy Woy. Then I walked up to started walking up towards Armidale, that sort of thing.
Yep.
I've really got to go to that.
Yeah, sure.
Is that all right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Be good
letting
to
us
know.
know. Yep,
Yeah.
mate, we'll edit that out. You go.
Yeah,
Go,
it's all
go.
right?
Yep, go for it. No worries. Into your life. And
There's
it's really interesting.
I was going to say before is there any particular thing, because like there was a time when I went to art school.
Yep.
And then there's a time I spent about 2 or 3 years on the road, and that's when I ended up in Darwin. I didn't use money. I wasn't on the bank account, didn't
Yep.
do nothing like that. And then I came back in. I more or less gave up being an artist. I didn't want to be an artist.
Okay.
And I wanted to get to know God. I wanted to understand God, and it became really not through reading the Bible, though eventually it came from I went away to just being nothing, having nothing, nearly to the point. There were times when it was linked into my dad. Like my dad sent I should talk about. Should I talk about it?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, right on.
We'll pick it up when you went to Armidale. I think you were walking to Armidale.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll pick, Armidale.
Okay. I was going to art school, and I felt like I wanted to. I didn't want to be on the. Like I started to be on the dole. I didn't want to really be on the dole, and
Okay.
I wanted to live without money. Like I started reading the Bible, and there was a part in the Bible that said Jesus talks to the rich young man, and he goes, "What do I need to do to be perfect, to be with you?" And he says, "Well, follow the commandments. Like respect your mother and father, don't steal, don't commit adultery, like that." The guy goes, "Well, I do all that." And then he goes, well, there's only one more thing you need. Give away everything you have and follow me, you know. And I'd walked, like I had been, that passage always stuck with me, but like also I'd ended up, I had started to do that. And then, but I was also linked up, I understood, like Aboriginal people in Australia, and I really felt things spiritually a lot. You'd walk around as an artist and you'd sit somewhere and you could kind of feel what's going on spiritually in a way. I mean, like, it's like, I mean, say you went into a place and it's like a bikies bar or like something that you go, oh my God, you know, like I can feel like this someone's got to come up and punch me in the head, like, or you can feel if someone's evil. I can anyway. Like you feel if someone's evil, and it's like, oh my God, that guy's. I can pretty tell something going on there, you know. And then so I wanted to. I had a few things happen with my mum and dad and my parents, and then I fought my first court case, which is anyway. So I talk about that. I hit the road, and I walked, and I was I felt like God was talking to me through like the songs that I get and things like that, and I was because at art school I started to write down on pads, and I'd write down and I'd get a pad and I'd write down, okay, 7 o'clock in the morning, like the sun's up here, and I could work out when the sun rose, when to sing, and I'd go, and then I'd write absolutely everything I did, how I felt and stuff. And then when I was doing, I'd put up big bits of butcher paper up on the wall, and I'd lie down, then I'd get up and I'd sort of just go up and I'd draw a line and just sort of move like that, things like that. And then I'd write down how I felt. And so I wanted to get in, well, what would it be like if I just took off all my clothes and ran out in the bush like an Aboriginal and lived like that, you know? And I there were times when I actually tried that. I did it. Like I went out and I went and lived in the bush, took my clothes off, ran out, and I tried to get sticks and things. I thought, how long, you know? And I was really, and I felt so in touch with God, really, you know, and I could sort of relate to how Aboriginal people feel that way, you know, and I think there's something in it, but I've changed. I have changed since then.
Were you living off the land, or how?
It would probably be more. It was probably more in my imagination than like a reality.
Okay.
That I think like it'd be like me going out. Like I'd be walking for ages, and then I'd come up a different track somewhere around when I first started it. But I've done it over in Broome and different times. You go along. And along big bits of road, there's bits of bush and stuff, and I'd just take off into the bush and I'd walk, and then I'd keep walking, and I go, okay, I go, right, this is it now. I'd take my clothes off and I go, I might sleep the night or do things, and I'd figure, oh God, righto, well, what's going to happen now? I've got to make a loincloth, something will also happen, I've got to, and then I'd think, oh, shit, I'll just end up going up to someone's house, I'll be half nude, they'll ring up, they'll get me put in a psych. I'd already been put in a psych once from Newcastle, so they'd pick me up because I was going door to door and I was saying, I'm on a spiritual journey. Do you have a place to eat or sleep?
Yep.
And I was singing songs, and I used to get songs. So I had like Never Give Up the Soul and different places. I can sing that for you. Could you see, is that in?
Sure, you go for it. Yeah.
Well,
go on.
So I was starting to relate to God talking to me, really.
Yep.
And so then I started to relate to how, going back, I, as a kid, I'd walk into a group of people, and you know the classic thing, you're standing there, and I don't know, like a kid at school, 13, 14. Yep. There's a group of girls, group of boys, you go up, you try to fit in, and then suddenly sort of the whole thing seems to close, and then they all start to talk to each other, and then I just used to walk off and go, well, okay, I've tried.
Yep.
And then in my head, I'd always go, it'd be like, not an audible voice, but it'd be like, oh, that's okay, don't worry about that. And then my life would just take off and I'd do things anyway.
Yep.
And I thought, well, wait a minute. okay, I could really try there. I'm trying there to have a girlfriend and do it like that. It's not working. And then I walk off here and it would work somehow. I'd go off and I'd have a song and I'd have this and have that. And I go, this is better. Wait a minute, this is better. Like, I don't know. Like, I can't really make it there. I'm not the cool guy. I'm not the great runner. I'm not the great thing. I'm not the intellectual. But then I felt like God was blessing me over here, but I didn't know it was God really. And so I couldn't integrate it. So there were times when, okay, there's this spiritual side where there's Jesus and there's the red Bible, and I could see there was something there. I could see the light in people's eyes. I could see the Christianity. But then I was over here wanting to be Bob Dylan and Woody Guthrie and kind of David Bowie and kind of bizarre and reading porn and having sexual thoughts and, wanting to go to France and maybe live with a prostitute or whatever in my mind,
Yep.
And then well, wait a minute, like even when I was reading porn, I'd be there and halfway through, like it was funny, Hustler magazine would have these cartoons and they'd have Jesus in there. Jesus would be in this cartoon, taking the piss off Jesus.
Right.
And Jesus would be there and they'd be going, oh, what are you doing with your, something about you getting crucified, you're getting crucified, mate, or something. But it was really funny, even though you're there and you just, you're full of lust and you just pulled yourself or something, there was this Jesus, they couldn't really put Jesus down.
Right.
Even in the middle of kind of sex and evil and that, Jesus was still there and you couldn't put him down.
Okay.
And I thought, well, wait a minute, everyone else you could take the piss out of, but even these guys in a cartoon, in the middle of a pornographic magazine, couldn't take the piss out of Jesus. I go, wait a minute, what's wrong with the guy? Like I'd be sitting there going, well, you're trying to take the piss out of him, but like he's there actually doing this amazing stuff. You can't really take the piss out of him. And it was really interesting for me because I thought everyone else, it just didn't work. And I still remember my brother and sister had these little, they would give them Bibles and it was like a King James Bible and it was just, had their name on it. So it had their name on the side of it.
Right.
But they looked like they never opened it up. And it was like...
pristine.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you could imagine they give it to a kid and the kid's there, like you couldn't even read the writing, it was that small. And they didn't have kids' church in those days. Like the kid just had to sit there and anyway, I said, well, I'm going to read every book in this house because we hadn't... So I'd read The Woman's Day, I'd read this, and then I thought, well, here's the Bible, so I'll give this a go. And I was like, no, like I've got to catch on fire. I'd open it up and like that. And then... Verily, verily, Jesus went to sow a seed, like or something. I go, okay. And then I read it and close it up. Right, I've done that, I've read that, okay. And then I'll go out and do my... And then it was so funny. Like I remember one day we had a bus that come past and I'd read that passage in the thing this one morning. And I'm an honest sort of person. I talk to someone. So I got on the bus and I felt something like, I'll go over and sit to that guy and have a yarn. I never really used to do it. So I sat down to him and I'm a sort of a young kid, like I'm not really an adult, like teenager.
Yep.
And less than maybe 8 or 10 or something. And he goes, how you going? Oh, really good. Yeah. Oh, what have you been up to? Oh, and I thought, okay, I'll just go for this. This is, I'll find out if people think. I said, I was reading the Bible. And this guy goes, oh yeah, what have you been reading? And I said, so I went to sow a seed like this. I thought he'd go, you're a freaking nutcase or something. And he goes, oh, do you know what that means? And he explained it to me. I'm going, how many places would you have to go to get on a bus and have someone explain the particular passage of the Bible, talk to you, take it seriously? No one took kids seriously to me. I hadn't ever.
Yep.
And he's going, oh, that's really good. And then we had a conversation. I'm going, this is crazy. Like, why? Like, wait a minute. Like I don't even read. Then I read this thing. Then I get this thing. Then I go to the bus. Then the guy explains it to me.
So is that sort of a sign to you in a way?
Well,
do you mind just moving back a little bit?
Yeah, sorry.
You're right, mate.
The fact that it was stick in my mind. Why would you read something and it's stuck in your mind?
Yep.
So then it became like a bit of a talisman because I think I could remember, in my head, I could remember Bob Dylan lyrics, I could sing Beatles songs, and then that would come out all the time. I could suddenly, like I said with the Bible, I could suddenly quote the Bible like this, even the verily, verily, and I said, well, why, and I'd be like, why? You know, I knew, and so I was, and then the songs were there. I could naturally do art really well. I could draw really well. I could do, and it all started to link. I go, well, wait a minute, I've got these natural gifts. Where do they come from? No one's really trained me. My mum and dad aren't artists. They're just really poor. And I mean, good people, and they work really hard. And my dad was in the Salvation Army home.
Yep.
And then he never knew his mum and dad at all. So then he was always a bit cynical about that. And but he expected a lot. Like, he expected me to dress the right way and all that. So then when I was at art school, even before then, I'd get up, I'd just cut my hair, I'd go into the thing, I wouldn't even look, I'd close my eyes, grab my hair, cut my hair like that, grab paint that I had, just go like that, and then I'd walk out, and then I'd go to the op shop and buy the most, always women's stuff usually, like I'd buy a bright purple thing on pants, put on one shoe and a different shoe, just like bizarre. But I was happy, I was just like, wasn't I don't know if it's like, I don't care. It was something about, I don't know, when you're young.
You're just expressing yourself sort of thing.
Yeah. But it meant something to me.
Right.
And some people, I started to find out that some people really understood it and some people didn't. And then some people would say, oh, that's sexual or something. And you started to realise it's got a lot more to do with them than you. But I did that from a pretty early, even in 13, 14, I was doing that kind of stuff. So I was doing art kind of stuff then, but we're going on spirituality, weren't we?
Yeah, and you were on your journey. I just wanted to ask you one thing. So you know, you said you would go sort of almost door to door asking for somewhere to sleep or food.
Yeah.
How did people receive you when you were doing that? Were they any welcoming or were they standoffish?
I got into this thing where I said, I felt like God was saying to me, I'm on a spiritual journey. Do you have a place to eat or sleep for the night?
Yep.
And I thought, I'll visit one house, then that's it, it's finished. I'm happy. Like this kind of thing. So I was going around Newcastle where I live. Well, people were actually pretty good, actually. That really surprised me too. I thought, the police did come a couple of times, and then they said, we're going to drive you to a mental hospital, because they just thought I was a nut. But some people, it was really funny. I'd go everywhere. I'd go down to the house commission areas. I'd go to the richer houses. I'd go on the street. I was surviving by just eating out of the garbage bins mainly.
Wow.
Didn't really worry. But that didn't worry me, because I'd been doing that for years in a way. Because I didn't get much pocket money, so I would... If I was going out or something, like my parents gave me 20 cents pocket money, so that it would take me 5 or 6 months to get $5 to go to the cheap movie night on a Wednesday like that. So it meant something by the time I got to see a movie.
Yeah.
And then, but on the way there, you'd go there on Thursday, Friday night, or whatever the cheap night was, and the families were there, and they would just go into the fish and chip shop. They would buy everything, like battered salve in a thing, and then just throw it in the bin. And I'll be going, wait a minute, I can only buy like 50 cents chips. And these guys, and so once they threw it in, it was still hot, I'd grab it, and I used to feed myself heaps like that for years and years ago.
Yeah.
And I still, even Darwin, and even now to a certain extent, because I got to the point on the road where I ate roadkill and everything. So I got to the point, I don't know if I could do it now, but I could eat crap, and I'd just say, righto, I've got to get something out of this because I've got to live. Mm-hmm. I can't show up. So I just told myself, you can't show up, so I can't,
Wow.
So I just did that. I don't know if I could still do it now.
That's an amazing sort of survival instinct, though, to be able to mentally almost...
Yeah, but that's why I see God's made us so amazing. That's how I see it. I don't think it's a skill within ourselves. I mean, I suppose it is, but you'll see... I reckon human-wise, you could nearly throw the average person, average housewife or something, you'd be amazed at what they could come up with. Do you know what I mean? I don't think they'd necessarily just die. Some people are pretty good. That's how I've found over the years. But it was a pretty good reaction, but I kept going.
Yep.
And then I thought, well, I better do something. So I'd say, so it it got longer and longer as I went along. So I'm on a spiritual journey to have a place to eat or sleep for a night. And then I got into, well, I want to get to know Jesus, so I'll say this sort of sinner's prayer that I knew. And when I was going around on the streets, like I used to busk a lot and stuff when I'd walk off. And I was walking around, like I said, with my Garfield bag and stuff. And then I remember there was this old couple in Parramatta, and then they were giving out like little tracks, but they'd put out little cassettes. And I love cassettes. So I thought, wow, this is amazing. Okay, I'll take this cassette. And this, no. And she was saying something. I couldn't quite hear it. I thought, yeah, well, you do believe in Jesus. You're Jesus. And I said, oh, yeah, okay. Yes, that's great. You guys are great. No worries. I could tell they were like, after a while, you spend a lot of time walking around. So I've walked around for years as a kid. So like I knew all the street guys. I knew all sort of the alcoholics in town, in Sydney. So like I was going around there when I was, my mum and dad said you could go into town. They trusted me at 10 years old. So I used to go up and walk around the Cross, Hyde Park, everywhere.
Yep.
And there were the proper guys who used to live in the park in those days. So there was one guy had this really, really like huge like German army jacket, a helmet like that. And then he had like about 10 double chins and he was like that. And then he was pushing this big, I don't know where he got it from. It was this big, he'd made for him or something. It looked like a big meat sort of van, but it was all soldered up. And he just sort of trudge. He'd sort of go, like trudge along like that, and do it really, really slow. And then he'd sort of look up at you. And then all the pigeons used to kind of like this, like that. It fascinated the crap out of me because I thought, wait a minute, he just lives with nothing. God just looks after him. He just lives, no money, no anything, sleeps in the park. And he was just this like magical figure. And I'd be sitting there going, and in those days, those guys would he'd be sitting somewhere. And then the people from Sydney in all their lawyers and everything, they'd just sit next to him and eat their lunch. No big deal. No one really sort of said, oh, we better ring up the mental health thing and get the sort of thing. And we've got this guy. Like, they just let him live there.
Right.
And they played chess. And so I thought, one of these days that's got to happen to me because I think so crazy. That's where I'll end up. And I'll just be this street guy and everyone will go, hey, Trev, which is sort of similar how it's turned out anyway. But like I had a really bad, I always thought the way I thought and with my mind, I'd just go in. I thought something just clicked and you went insane.
Right.
And you just, like a bubble would do like that.
Yeah.
And then you'd be sitting there and I'd just say things to you. I'd go, oh, Stuart, what about the moon? And you go, oh, that's really good, Trevor. And then I'd just walk around like that all day. And you'd sort of, I thought that was mental illness.
Okay.
I thought you just went insane and you went into this thing.
Yeah.
And so I remember I was about 21 and I wanted to get stoned. So I thought, okay. So I rang up this guy, Richard Badger, who I knew smoked dope. I'd smoked once or twice when I was about 18 and it was just mild sort of thing anyway. So he took me out and whatever it was, like he gave me this like, someone said it was like hash laced with either heroin or something stronger.
Wow. Because
I took either one or two pulls on this bong and then it went and it was like going around like in a slow motion. Everything was
a daze or something
like that.
Yep.
And then I said, oh my God, I said, oh, it's happened. I'm in this bubble thing.
Yep.
And so I got out of the thing and I started, I washed my face in a puddle and I said, get me down. And then I walked, I wouldn't let him go back in the car and I walked all the way home. He's going, get in the car. You look weird, man. Get in the car. Like this. And I walked about 4 or 5 Ks back to my house.
Yeah.
And I was working at Woolies and I got into bed and I was looking up and everything just went like that around the walls. And then I hadn't told my parents ever in my life that I'd touched drugs or anything. So then I remember I just went to work and I'm pricing things and everything was like, say that Next Gen North sign, it just looked like 1,000 miles away. It was just like this and everything was miles away.
Right.
And it felt like someone had got a squeegee in my brain and that was it. And I remember sort of, I lay down on the back, like down, and then I I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to do anything. I just ding, and I'd sit there, and it was like, okay, this is Anyway, so
was that a life-changing experience for you? That experience with
well,
drugs?
I'm still talking about it now, so I must,
But it did have an impact on your
yeah,
life.
I think so. Like I think I would even say it probably damaged my brain pretty badly. And then after that, I did it. Smoked has a few times after that even, which was ridiculous. But I even took a bit of a trip at one point, and I think that had, I think that does affect you pretty badly, you know.
And you never found out specifically what that drug was that you.
It's only after I talked to other people, because I think I'm one of those sort of people, because I got right into remember we were talking about, I got right into mental health and mental illness later on in my life, not at first. I can tell you about the first time I ever got taken to a psych hospital, but I ended up, I've talked to other people, like Gary McDonald. There's a thing called Mental Health First Aid, which is a great video course. It's a course you can do called Mental Health First Aid. Fantastic. It's like doing first aid, and they go right through the different forms of schizophrenia, how to relate to mental health ill people. It's fantastic to do. Right. But in that particular one, there might be a new one, but Gary McDonald, Norman Gunston said at 21, which is interesting, he smoked one joint and then he just went so sensitive, and I think that was the same with me. It affects you much worse when you're quite sensitive to things. And so then he said he just laid down, and then for a week or a month he couldn't get up, and he just and that's how I felt. Like it just kind of, it was quite funny. Like I finally got back into things, but it was like, say I was talking to you, I had to stare at your lips and make sure your lips was moving. It was like I was in a different world. Right. And it's like, you know, when people say they've been on an LSD trip and it's like they've gone and they don't come back.
Yep.
And anyway, I told my mum and dad, and then literally I slept in my parents' bed for a week holding on to my mum, because I just thought I was going to kind of float off into space. Yep. I just needed to hold on to someone, you know, and that was... And so then, but then I that's when I did. They said it was really good. I went to a counsellor. I was at there, and I thought, they'll just put me. In some ways, I was happy. I thought, that's it. That's fine. I've gone insane. It's great. Now I can do what the fuck I like. It's got to be one flew over the cuckoo's nest. I can run around. I can take off my clothes. I could act like a nut.
Yep.
Great. But that wasn't it. I had to go back to reality.
Yeah.
Live in reality. But I still remember, I look at all those movies like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's. I think, gee, that's really good. Isn't that really great? I love all that.
Yeah.
So, but I love mentally ill people for that reason.
Right.
I've been taken to that many psych hospitals.
Yep.
And been with that many people. I love all that.
Yep.
But now I can see I have got to the point later on when I've been up here where I tried to use it in the court, and I would just say, if I had an episode or got angry or I went off, I'd go, I'm schizophrenic. Right. And so I started using it as a
crutch.
Yeah, a means to explain bad behaviour.
Okay. Sure.
You know, like, I got really angry. You know, say something happened here, and you go, Trevor, you're not supposed to do this. You know what? You've invited me here. I'm an artist. I just go off my freaking head. Yep. I used to do that, and then it'd be like, I just walk out, not care, not apologise, not do nothing, and I'm schizophrenic. That, you know, total bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's, I think the last time I was in jail, it was like, wait a minute, you can't treat people like that. You can't. You know, you mightn't be punching them in the head and everything, but you're scaring people by absolutely going off your nut in front of them. And out of control, so they don't know that you're not got to get up and throw a microphone at someone's head or something.
So in jail, you had time to reflect, sort of thing?
Well, it was the society finally had enough. Really, they kept me in there and they wouldn't let me out, and they said they wouldn't even let me come to court because they said I was got to go off, and they didn't trust me to stand in the courtroom. So it was like they wouldn't even. They made me go on video link for the whole 9 months I was there. Okay. And then they charged me. I'm still declared the first vexatious litigant in NT.
What does that mean? Vexatious.
Vexatiously. Well, if you look it up, there's only one book in the whole of Australia, because I researched it, and it's written by a guy in Melbourne University, and he wrote All the Vexatious Litigants. So I'm there with not Julian Assange, but the guy, Julian Hoddle, or the Hoddle Street Massacre guy, and a few other people.
Sure.
It's if you just keep taking cases, and it's seen as a form of harassment of people. So it'd be like, say I said something here and you go, oh, look, I've had to edit that out. And then I decide, no, you're not going to edit that out.
Yep.
I'm going to take you to court and say that I have freedom of speech, and just keep chucking things at you just because I want a certain word on a podcast.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I used to be like that. I seriously, but I can't even.
Please don't do that.
No, I'm not now, but I just used to be. I don't know. Just you can be, as an artist, sometimes you're so. I didn't realise at the time, I think, and then there was a lot of things where I have an altercation. Yep. So I'd have an altercation with the security guards, and so then I knew they were going to charge me with something. So then I thought, stuff that, I'll charge them with something. It's two. So then I'd go down and you could go to the local court, and because they'd say something like, I'd be going like to them, and they go, "Well, you spat on me." I go, "Well, I didn't spit on you." But then I'd have to fight this. They call that aggravated assault.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons I can't get an OCA card at the moment, because of things like that, right? But it's not even really, it's not proper aggravated assault, but I'd have to take it to the Supreme Court, appeal it, and I've tried to have my record expunged. I'm still trying to do that.
Yep.
And I don't have anything against no sexual things with kids at all, but then because I've argued things on the street, they go, "Oh, well, because I tell a security guard to get effed or something, well, you're going to do it to a kid over here." Well, that doesn't even relate that way. But anyway, but I would then, to take a case at the local court, there's a thing called a private information, and anyone could do this. So I can't, but you guys could. If you could go to the local court, you just say, "Could I get a private information at the criminal registrar?" So it's at the front desk. Then they give you a list. They give you a form. You pay $20, right? And then you just write down, okay, Stuart from Next Gen Thing, this address here. He said this, and this. That's underneath whatever Crimes Act or something. He did this, and then I write down what it is, and then I ask for a subpoena, so I pay another $20 for a subpoena. Then I subpoena you, and then I'm the prosecutor, because that's all the police are doing. So the police go around looking at the piece or whatever's going on. Okay, this is going on. You're throwing things up in the air. You're getting drunk or whatever. So the society can't work that way. We can't have that all the time. Yep. So then they don't actually charge you. They then get the information. They give that to the DPP, and then the lawyers draft it up, and then they prosecute. So I was just doing that.
Yep.
So I took about 300 cases, about 150 different cases like that over a few years. But mainly it was, they didn't use all that. I mean, I didn't take that many private informations, but I would say something happened with the security guards, then I would plead not guilty. I would then get the CTV footage, then I would get the police notebooks, and then and I'd be a year later before the case went, and then I'd do the thing like that, and I had them spread all out, so I had a heap of cases. But then a guy called Ian Rowbottom got there, and he decided, I'm just going to stuff this guy over. So he got all my cases together, so there's about 10 cases together on the one day, and put them before one magistrate. And then it was stuffed. It was too much. I couldn't handle them. I had them all spread out, different magistrates. And then I didn't think it was legal to do that. But then they said, "No, I'm taking them all." This guy just said, "I'm taking them all over." I said, "Well, what right have you got to take them all?" But I didn't know how to legally manoeuvre that.
Sure.
But anyway, when I was in jail, then I remember they charged me with. I'd already had contempt of court because I'd interrupted the judge, and then they said contempt of court, and I'd stand there and go, "You're corrupt. You guys are all corrupt." I'd be like that. I'd be like something out of Petrocelli, or there used to be there was all these TV lawyers when I was growing up, and they'd go, I interjected, and so
Sure.
I fancied myself like that, so I'd just stand there, and I could think well on my feet, and I could enunciate, I could speak well, and I found out that it wasn't until I went to jail and I met a guy called Harry, and he said, in general, nobody likes a poor person who looks poor, who can speak well. It just doesn't come together. They don't like that. So then I found out people like Maley and Tippett and that, they charge literally $800 for a not guilty thing. They don't even come out to the jail, and they'll do a guilty plea for you. Not even look at the case, just a guilty plea. Mm-hmm. And that's how much they charge. So I'm coming in there with my bags, not any money. I've got a fee waiver, and I'm going. And they hated it. They put up with it for about 5 years, and then I found out that's not it. They don't want it anymore.
Right.
So then I got charged with being a vexatious litigant, and then they never had an address to send it to. So then they sent out about five files like this, and all it had in there was what I was saying. So it sort of had, he said he wanted to make the case last forever, and he was going to win the case, and he was going to do this. And I thought, well, okay, and there was something wrong with that, apparently. I don't know what it is, but you weren't supposed to act like that. And so then they said that was vexatious, and I didn't really. I used to go to the Supreme Court Library, and there was a great woman, Frida, up there, and there was all these librarians. And it's ridiculous now because you go up. I used to go up there. None of the legal aid lawyers went up there. None of the lawyers that went up there, they just sit there they don't even put any effort into the case. I was researching my cases.
So
I was
you were reading up on precedent and case law and all that sort of stuff. Wow.
Yeah. I won half my cases. They didn't like that either. Do you know what I mean? So they didn't like me. But I was too emotional and passionate, and like I was just like the lawyers would come up and do something, and I'd say, "You haven't served that the right way. You're not. Don't talk to me like that. I can talk to you that. I can talk to you like the way I want to talk." And they weren't used to someone really confronting them. They didn't like it.
Yeah.
And it was like I knew what I was doing, but then they kind of had to. They had to fuss me around in the end. They had to bring up really. They started to say, the last time I went to jail was, there was a coalition of factors. I think I was abusing the system and abusing people, but I think there was some goodness in it, but it was just not the right way or whatever. But I was just too passionate, and I got passionately involved. So I was like, even when I was in jail, I thought that all the Aboriginal people had kind of surround me and support me and everything. Like they didn't care. Like no one cared. Mm-hmm. And you're sort of sitting there, and then I'd abused this judge, Neil, and I'd said something like, "Well, you shouldn't even be on this case, Neil. This is rubbish. You follow me. You follow me round. You've done these, and then I said stuff, and then he said, "That's contempt of court, right?" And then because I'd already breached the other contempt of court, so it just got up to nearly 12 months, and then I breached it. So they gave me 3 months and another 3 months and another 2 months or something on the top of that with the thing that they said. And then I wanted to say what I sort of knew all these legal loopholes. So I said, I want to see a psychologist, and then that'll say that I'm mentally ill. And then Justice Grant, and I didn't realise it, I had just done all these. I'd got that many waive the fees. I probably got. Now I found out it costs you like $1,000 every time, and I must have digged up about $10,000, $20,000. I'd never paid for a thing in my life. Yeah. And then I just used to rush up to the Supreme Court, write a brief, just sit there and have a brief, stamp it, got a feeling like that. I just bang, I could do it, Yeah. And I was sleeping outside in the bush when I was doing that. And then, but I didn't used to eat well enough, and I'd come into, and so someone would look at me sideways and go, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" Like I'd just go off my head, and then, and the way I was dressed, I dressed and I smelt, and I my hair was everywhere, and my beard was out like crazy, so I just looked like, a werewolf. And then But then, like, the lawyers respected me. Like, they respected me because I stood up, I said my thing, and whatever.
Yeah.
And I won a fair few cases as well. Anyway.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But but this is what I learned anyway. I went into the last time I went to court, this is the last time I went to jail, and this is where it all came to a fruition and it ended, and I just couldn't. They charged me very vexatiously when I was in there.
Yep.
But they said, well, you say you're mentally ill. Okay. And what had happened is that I didn't want the case to keep going, and I didn't have any of my stuff because they just took me out to the case, and I had all this stuff that I wanted to fight this case. Anyway, I had 2 Supreme Court appeals on as well, where I went in and I sat with the things and went into the Supreme Court appeals. I used to go up into the Supreme Court library. It was great. I loved it. Anyway, they ended up. I worked out you could just take off your clothes and then they stopped the case. They couldn't keep it running. So even when I was on video link, the only way I could control it, I'd just take off my clothes. And then I'd say, oh, I'm having a mental health episode.
Yep.
But anyway, I went in. When I was in jail, I went in there and then they put you in the lockup thing and I'm running around and then I relaxed. And I go, oh, okay, that's it. Right, I've had enough of this. And then I said to the guy came in and I go, why should we let you out? Well, I'm not mentally ill. I said, I just do that so that I can kind of like this.
Yep.
So I let it out of the bag that I was only taking off the clothes to get what I want. I knew what I was doing. And so then that was on the thing. And they quoted it to me ever since then. Well, you've said, Mr. Jenkins, that you just you're not really mentally ill.
Right.
So then that was a bit of a revelation for me because I was going, okay. And when I was in jail, I kept going and I tried to get, because I'd been taken to psych hospitals down south for a long time. And then they'd said I was schizophrenic. They said I was bipolar. I said I was this. And I said, right, I just put up with it. I got out and then I'd get released and they could take you on what you call a schedule then down there. So a schedule is that you're a danger to yourself or other people. They'll schedule you. So I got scheduled a fair few whiles down there. Then I'd get out. Then I'd start walking and I'd go on and on my spiritual journey, I'd keep going like that. And then I'd say, well, that's all part of God's thing. And you have a feed. You're usually pretty drowned out. So you'd sit there and eat all the food. But then it was like they wouldn't accept. I couldn't get the records. When I was in there, it was very, very hard to get the records in jail because you had to ring up. It was really hard to ring up. It was really hard to get onto the thing. And even when I got the records, the records, it was for so long ago. But then by that time, I started to go, well, I really, really looked at, well, why am I in jail? I come from, there was a real juxtaposition because there was young boys in there that had been in there from Dondale and they must have done something pretty bad, like either rape or really aggravated breaking in or something. So they'd be in there 8 to 10 years because they were obviously from 16 or whatever and gone right through and they're still in jail. They're still doing 4 or 5 years from that. Yep. So then they would sit there and they were like that, you can see it. You can see it in the podcast. Yeah, you guys can see me.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm thinking it's a whole audio thing. Yeah. Okay. So then they would be like that, and no one had literally, no one had hugged them, no one had loved them, no one had. Do you know what I mean? They were drained. They were just like.
Were they drugged out or anything, or
No.
on medication, or just life had just done that?
That was. If you see a lot of young Aboriginal kids, especially up here, they've never had anyone ever come up and hug them. Hey, you're really great, John. Hey, let's do this, go to bed, do this, nothing. So you're looking at someone who's never been loved at all. And I just thought, oh my God, and I really started to look at my mum and dad, and the Royal Commission of Sexual Abuse was going on, so I thought, I'm going to research my dad's thing. And my dad, in that home, that particular home, he would never talk about it, but in the particular home, the Box Hill Boys' Home, heaps of sexual abuse and stuff. So I got records out to look at that and just see, he'd never talk about stuff. And I did ask him, and he said, he was there, and he reckons, they were taking boys upstairs, and so he knew what was going on. So then I can't work out, would he admit it? Maybe he just didn't admit it. And I sort of think maybe, I feel now like he was, and he just didn't want to say it.
Yeah.
And then I looked at, well, okay, I mean, you start to look at all that vicarious trauma thing, but I'm not so into that. But I mean, like, I just looked at, okay, Dad especially, he would make my mum be there. You'd get tucked into bed. You had good meals. You were told you were loved. And I thought, I'm up here somewhere. Like I'm up there.
Yeah.
And so I'm fighting for all those guys in a way. Like when I was in jail, a lot of the Aboriginal people can't even read and write to write a form to get something done in jail. So a lot of the white guys will write forms. So you spend all your time as a white guy writing forms in jail.
Right.
Which is why I voted no for the referendum, because where are the people? Where are all the Aboriginal people going in there and doing stuff like that? Why, there's no literacy programs. No one's teaching literacy.
Right.
It's rubbish. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
I got quite angry yesterday because I ring up about all the kids not going to school. So I ring up about the kids I see at Casuarina Square. So I ring up about that. I get onto the Family Community Services line. I organise for these youth guys. I said, get the youth guys to come out here at a certain time. Yesterday, I go out there, youth, they're just standing there. They're just standing there. Like there's all the kids over there, and they just walk over and they're just like that. So I filmed them. I said, hey, are you the thing like this? I said, you're not doing anything. And that's why I love podcasts, because I love, like, I've done this all my life the same. And so I filmed them, and I followed them around, I filmed them, and then I'm going to send it to thing. That's just rubbish.
Yeah.
They're just standing there. The kids are there. They're just standing there. Like, that's why this whole place is up to the crap. They don't have genuine people there. They're not doing the work. Mm-hmm. They're not doing anything. There was a thing where they were doing, this is a fair few years ago, and this guy said to me, he was with the education department, and they were getting contractors to go down to Jabiru to teach literacy. So these guys were getting money. They wanted to get paid instead of to drive, get paid to fly to Jabiru, come in, put on this program for a couple of hours. Then they'd sit there, even if anyone didn't come, they'd just tick off. 2 people come, they'd kind of tick off the thing. Didn't care whether the people learnt, didn't care what the thing. They were getting money from the education department to say, sign off, who cares, get the money.
Yeah.
That was happening.
Right.
And you still see that the programs in jail were absolute crap. The people weren't learning literacy. But you talk about that. I sat there from the time when I was in art school. I wrote every day I was in jail. I've got pads and pads and pads and pads, every note, everything from that time I was there, the 9 months.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do with it, but it's there. But I literally said, I use my legal thing. So in jail, if you can't get something done, this is how legally it works out there. You put in a complaint, you put in a complaint form. Then if that's not seen in, I think it's 21 days or something, then you put in another complaint form, then you can get a super parade. And then if the super parade doesn't get answered, then you can ring up the ombudsman. So then you ring up the ombudsman, then the ombudsman can ring up. So you can actually talk to the ombudsman. So there was no pens, for example. Yep. They wouldn't even give pens. You couldn't even buy pens. They wouldn't give you a pen. So then you don't talk about that. You couldn't even get pens out there. And then the pens that you bought were like absolutely rubbish, big pens that you go like that and the bottom falls off and the thing crap. They buy the cheapest, most crappiest stuff to use. Anyway, so I got the ombudsman. It took about nearly 3 weeks, but I got pens and I got things like that. And then you get called over. You get called over out to the superintendent, and they go, "Oh, you're here again, Jenkins? Yeah, I've been rang up by the ombudsman. Yes, here's your pen. You want a pen? You want a pad? Here's a little like that." But you could do it.
Yeah,
you could do it because you knew how it worked.
Because you had a win or something. Was he upset that you'd sort of used the system? And
they didn't. They're not into it as much as you want to say about. They go on this job situation. They're not. It's a put down. You get there and they'll go. It's a bit on a guy made a bit of it was a film called Created from Nothing, and I stood up in the the Fanny Bay jail I talked about, but they will, Stuart, they'll literally get you there. It's like, Jenkins, who you think you're someone, Jenkins? You're nothing, Jenkins. You're freaking no do. And then they get your thing and literally rip up the form in front of you and just throw it. That's what they do. They don't give a shit. They don't. They grind you down, put you down.
So it's not a place of rehabilitation or anything like that, or even just basic literacy and numeracy.
No, it's not like, you're not allowed to have 2 or 3 pieces of paper and then you'll have someone will do something wrong. The guards, they call them it's really funny. They call them the Ninja Turtles because they wear all this gear and like the little batons and they got the thing, so they're dressed up like thing. They'll come into your cell unannounced. They just come in. I was having a shower one day. They kick the door open, run in, throw everything you've got around on the ground, throw it up, rip things up, and walk out. So you could have, a letter to your mum or letter something. They just rip the shit up, throw it away, crush things. I used to make art. They just crush it on the ground, crap it up. They don't care. And then you get treated a little bit better if you get out to Sector 6 and the Sector 7, but you have to be there. You've got to do a third of your sentence at least in maximum. So say you got 20 years, you've got to be out in maximum for, like 9 years or something before you get out. And then I was trying to get a job. So you can't get a job. If you're sentenced, you can get a job pretty quickly. But if you're not sentenced, you have to be... So a lot of people are on remand, so you can't just get a job in the kitchen or do something like that. They want you out in different places. So I didn't get out to the kitchen until... I was there from April, and it wasn't until about November I got out to the kitchen. I didn't get out to Sector 6 or 7 until about that time. So it was only a couple of months. And then that was more, you had more opportunities and that. But still there wasn't really any... I couldn't do any programs. I couldn't even do art programs. You can't have anything. That's considered a weapon. A pen's considered a weapon.
Yep.
Okay, so I've been arrested in... I was saying, I remember I got a pen and I'm going like that in the lockup there, and I was got up and then they called... This is how they organise you like this. So I was representing myself. They gave me a pen. I was sitting there and I got my pen out of my bag. And then they called a code yellow. And all these guys come up, ripped the pen out of my thing, took me downstairs. This is a code yellow. And then I was put in maximum security when I got to the jail because they said I had pulled a thing on a thing, assaulting someone. I tried to jump over the kind of the thing like that. And like, it's just, they don't like what you talked about. They don't like someone being smart and saying something.
Yeah.
And so, and they virtually told me there, they said, if you keep... I was writing, people couldn't write something on a prisoner request form, so I'd sit and write it out. And they say, so I'd request, this person wants to go and see a mental health person, they want to see his mother, he comes from Maningrida, and They would say, you'd give it to you put all the forms in on the thing, so you're locked up in a section, and the only way you can communicate, you've got the like you're sitting there, and then they pull the thing down. So if I'm going to go and see you, I've got to sort of go down there, put in the request form like that.
Yep.
Then you've got to ask for toilet paper and ask for different things like that.
Yep.
Sorry, I'll stop.
That's
there.
okay.
And you end up. It's very. I mean, it's
dehumanising.
Well, this is where it changed from.
Yeah. So coming out of jail on the other side, how did you sort of process that whole thing? And
of course, I've been in and out a few times.
What was your outlook?
I changed completely, really, because I was reading this prisoner Bible in there, and it was so well written. Like, it was written by prisoners for prisoners. It was well written. I'd read crappy ones before, and one of the main things in there was this thing that had some people, thank God, they're in jail.
Right.
And I was in this with this Groote Islander guy in this cell, and I was like, oh my God. I said, I said, I like Christianity. Like, I've been, by this stage, it's about 6 years ago. So I was about 53. Okay. So then I'm getting older. I'd gone through, I don't want to do this again. I've come from a good family. I've realised that, okay, I can't really help it. I'm not going to save Aboriginal people. Like it's so far. They're drinking so much every day that their brain, like if you and I drank 6 drinks a night, we get brain damage. They're drinking 20 drinks a day every day. Their brain is completely. These people that you see on the street, they would have to go into a nursing home for the rest of their life. Even if you got them a house, they couldn't even get up and do shopping and do everything. They're too brain damaged.
Was that a big part of the reason why you came to the Territory in the first place, to help Indigenous people, or was that?
Yeah.
How did you end up in the Territory?
I was, after I'd done all that spiritual journey thing, I ended up right at Narrabri, and I walked to Narrabri from Newcastle.
So the spiritual journey was completed? Is that sort of how you saw it?
Well, I was always talking to God.
Yep.
I was always talking to God. So I'd go to a different area. I'd say, right, oh God, I want a new set of songs for this area. And I sing a song. And then I should sing that other song from the first one. The first song, this is the first song I ever had.
Okay.
So will it go out too loud if I...
No.
Okay.
Go for it.
So this is before I'm reading the Bible, but I'm more like, this is God spiritual. This is how I really saw God.
Yep.
Right? So never give up the soul, ba, 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 ba. Never give up your greatest climb. Never give up the soul, ba, 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 ba. Never give up your greatest fight. Time to give your heart out into the world, ba, ba, ba. Time to give your soul another turn. Never give up the soul, ba, 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 ba. Never give up your greatest fight. Never give up the soul, ba, 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 ba. Never give up your greatest climb. Whoa, whoa, ba, 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 ba. Whoa, whoa, ba, 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 ba. Feel the breeze burning in your heart, bump, bump. Feel the spirit moving in the trees. Never give up the soul. You can feel it in your heart as you're walking down the street. The people that you meet, bump, the people that you see. You can never give up the soul. It's there right in your eyes. Never give up the soul. Never give up the soul. Spirit is in your heart, ba-bum-bum. Spirit is in the trees, ba-bum-bum. Spirit is in the breeze, ba-bum-bum. Spirit is in the breeze, trees. You never give up the soul. It's there right in your eyes. Never give up the soul. Never give up the soul. Spirit is in your heart. It's like, it's trying to integrate really feeling good in the bush.
Okay.
Really feeling good with people.
Yep.
How does that relate to God? But as it went on, different Christians would come out and talk to me. I'd get different things. I'd get songs about trust. I get songs about faith. I get songs, and just sort of come. And it was great. And I felt like I was doing a bit of a Dylan thing, and I'd sing songs door to door. And then I never recorded any of those. I could recorded some of them, but
and you sing these walking around and...
what I would do, I was really, really kind of... I wanted to be really, really spiritual because you got to remember, I read all that porn. I had like sexual thoughts. I want to be holy. Like I want to be like a monk, you know.
Yep.
And so I was like, and I don't know if you ever saw Kung Fu. It was Kung Fu. It was like David Carradine. It was a popular TV show, but it was Buddhist, but he was like a monk.
Okay.
And then there's a classic thing where Paul Hogan used to take it off, but he used to go in and there was the old sage, like I don't know what they said, dojo, or they go, when do you get to leave the temple? When you can, grasshopper, when you can take the coin from my hand, you can go like this, it'd be like this, and then there's a classic scene where he gets to go and he has to go and pick up to get the tattoo on his hand. He goes to this big cauldron and he gets that and lifts it up, and he has this thing on his hand, and then as he's walking, he's in the middle of the West, like the middle of the kind of whatever you call racist redneck West of thing. He's a Chinese guy. And he's walking around and it's just a classic show from the 70s. And they'll go, "What are you doing, Chinaman?" And then he'd sort of just go into this real, like he'd walk away. "You got to fight, Chinaman," and then he'd do his kung fu and he'd fly through the air and kick him, and it was like an early version of Jackie Chan, but very spiritual. But it was it's a spiritual wanderer, and then Dylan was like that, and Woody Guthrie, and I thought you could somehow use it together.
Yep.
And then but over time, I remember I'd go and visit. I'd visit houses, so I had a backpack. I had a huge backpack and a guitar. I'd have that in my pack, and then I'd. Can you still hear me like that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe just move it down a bit.
Down.
Just
your face.
like actually turn it.
Turn it.
Yeah,
like that.
Yep.
So then I would be on the side of the road. I'd bend. I'd cross myself, and then I'd walk over the other side of the road on that side. I'd cross myself. Then I'd walk up back and across myself, and then I'd go, "Our Father out in heaven, pray, 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 pray." All the prayers I knew, all the prayers, prayers, and then I'd go, keep praying until I get to the front of a house, and then I'd go, "Right, oh God, bless this house," and then I'd walk into the house. Then at that time I'd walk in. Sometimes I had to walk like 5 Ks into the house, get up, knock on the door. "Hi, my name's Trevor Jenkins. I'm on a spiritual journey. I believe that Jesus Christ died for my sins. I could never forget. I'm a man who believes Jesus Christ died for my sins. I could never repay him for such love. And this day I endeavour to live according to that which is pleasing in his sight. In Jesus' name I pray, amen." I do small songs just for a bread or a tin, or I sing songs which I do jobs for something I could take through. And then some people go, "I didn't really hear what you said, but you do want something to eat?" like that.
Yeah.
But I had really, really, really good experiences.
Yeah.
And it was a bit like my Kwai Chung Kane journey in a way. That's it. And then Indian guys would say you're like a sadhu, and I lived like that. It was the greatest time in my life. I got soaking wet. I got the thing. I dressed pull on sets of clothes and everything. So like, I find it a bit hard, the whole, you go to Melbourne or different things, homeless, they just sit there, "Oh, I really need a shower, give me $10 for a hotel room." Like, mate, if you took off and genuinely walked out and generally went house to house, people would feed you, people would look after you. This is Australia. Anywhere in the world, really. Like God looks after you out there. And I was really looked after. I was blessed. I had people I would go off a road, then I'd go a back road. So if I was walking out to Kakadu or something, I'd take this back road and that back road and this back road. I'd be miles and miles out there. And when you're out like that, people know you're not breaking into places. People know you're not they know you're genuine. And so they say, "What are you doing?" And then I would say, "I'm on a spiritual journey. I really believe in Jesus." "Oh, yeah." And then you'd have amazing conversations, genuine conversations. People talked about their family, people dying of cancer, like amazing depth. And there was so much love. I could never now be cynical about the society and say it's all shit. I couldn't, because I still know now, and I'm thinking of doing it again, like just the amount of times in my life, if I get the shits, I just give up everything I have. I walk out in the street. People stop. People talk to you. People think, "Yeah, what can I do? Can you sing a song?" But other times people have driven up. I've had people drive up, open up the back of their car. "Oh, here, mate, what do you need? There's a tent, there's a swag, there's a thing. They just want to all give it to me."
Wow.
A couple of times I've taken it, but a lot of times I said, "No, I'm happy."
Yeah.
Because I got down to being able to, I could literally sleep on the ground by that time, and then just put a bit of. The main thing I needed was a big bit of Buddha's plastic, so then I could just
To stay dry, was it?
Yeah, and if you tuck it all in, like I've slept out in -5 and stuff like that, and what you have to do, you get in really early, you pack it all down, you put yourself inside, and just your bodily thing will heat you up inside.
Yeah.
And I've survived like that. Sometimes it's been soaking wet. I'm soaking wet. I take off all my clothes. I put my clothes outside. I put my clothes out in the shop, let them all kind of thing, go inside, and then put myself in. You see the thing like that, or frost or something, and then I'd get up, and then the sun would be there. You'd feel the sun on the ground. You'd get the thing like that, and I did relate to, like, say, if Aboriginal people were doing that, and you got to the point you're walking around the nude for that through thousands of years. I started to a little bit. You could sort of oh, I know when a storm's coming. I know when something's happening. Like you can start to feel it.
Right.
You start to see things. So I think generationally, Aboriginal people have that, or any Indigenous people have that from that time. But you can't really just sit there and go, I'm a traditional person. Like doing art, you've got to be in tune with it. You can't just say it and kind of. That's what I don't like a bit. You got to. It's the same with art. Like I mean, if you got to really practice your craft and take it seriously and with God, prayer, and stay close. And like I've become a lot more traditional now with Christianity.
Yep.
And is there something else you wanted from that, or
No, that's fine. I just have one other question. What?
Yeah.
Why the territory? How, what appealed to you about?
why you asked me?
Yeah.
Originally, I always wanted to do missionary stuff, and I rang up I just got to say, my dad sent a ruler back. It was a Northern Territory ruler, and there was this one picture, and there's these 3 Aboriginal girls popping up out of a lake. They look purple, and I'm going, is this Australia? Like, this is wow, like I've never seen anything. And I thought, I reckon I wanted to see Aboriginal people. I didn't know when I first came here. I came here in 2005, whether they'd still be running around in the nude, throwing spears. Like that's how I really felt,
Right.
And so then when I came, I wanted to come. I didn't know how to come. I saw a thing. There was a report in the APY lands about petrol sniffing and stuff, and kids, 8-year-old kids running around and stuff. And so that I thought, wait a minute, I'm in Australia. I can't really. As I get older, I got a conscience. I want to know what happens in my country. This is my country. I saw that. So then I came up, and there was a thing at Groote Island where Bush Church Aid wanted you to come up, and that was through the Anglican Church. And so I applied to do that, and you could come up and work with petrol sniffing program on Groote Island. So I did that, and so I was living at Narrabri. I was just about early 40s, 42 or something, and then I got accepted to do that, and it was 10 days. So I came up. It's funny, the Anglican wouldn't pay me. I came up with the Anglican was the part. It was Anglican Bush Church Aid. They said, but they didn't provide money. The Salvation Army organised me a ticket and food and everything, and then someone else paid the money. So then I came up. So the Anglican, the Uniting, and some other church helped me. I'd go to every church anyway for a long time. And I'd already deliberately gone right out to Moree and stuff, and I'd seen Aboriginal people where the culture had gone. It had been trashed or it had been lost. And I really wanted to hear if there was language and stuff. And I still remember, I'd never caught a plane before. I went to Brisbane, it was still the red eye flight, so it was Virgin Blue. Yeah, got here at 4, and then I'd walked up to the airport hotel and come back, and then I came down. I laid at Harvey Aviation. Then I woke up, and it was the first time I heard Aboriginal. So I woke up, there's Aboriginal language going on.
Yep.
There were these Aboriginal women in like their traditional clothing and stuff, and I thought, and then I had never seen, it's like gum trees. I'd never seen tropical everything. And then it didn't rain for like 6 months. I've gone like this. I couldn't believe it. And it was so warm. I'd frizz to death outside of the thing. It was just warm. It was like paradise. I was there for 10 days, and then I thought I just wanted to learn enough to take what I learned and do stuff with the Aboriginal people back there. And I went back, and then it had changed or I'd changed, and then I wanted to come back up and stay more permanently and do that. And then my idea, I was got to, because I'd done all the thing with taking off my clothes and being like, I thought, I could become Aboriginal. Like, so that's how I thought. And then I was got to learn the language, and then it just became. Now I just realise, oh my God, you don't know anything. But it was. But I'm still close to people on Groote Island, and then I spent a lot of time at Wadair, and then I've been to a lot of the town camps and done a lot of work at Bagot here and different things like 1 Mile.
Yep.
And so it's. Yeah, I've learned a lot and done a lot of like homeless people and mental health people and stuff. But
so you're permanently living in Darwin now, would you say?
I'm more at Coolinga.
Coolinga.
But I think I've sort of come to the end. I'm really, really tired. And I think I'm cynical now. I don't have that freshness to put into things.
Right.
You know, I've got a lot of ideas, but I just don't. I think every step I take, it just seems to be like my reputation goes before me, and it goes down the toilet a bit now. So I bought a permit to do busking, and I had my permit there, and I was doing a thing where I do stuff with just the. Can I get a thing and sort of make it something out of my bag?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just.
Yep.
I'm getting a bit tired myself.
Yeah, that's okay, man. We can wrap this up soon if you want.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, however you want to. I want to cover all the things that. But I'll do this again.
Yeah, just show us. Yeah.
I'm going to do a show pretty soon at the 22nd at the what do they call that place? Busted Town.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was making things, but I've been trying to work on a thing where I kind of. It's got to be called the greatest artist who ever lived. Yes, you are. So like everyone can be a great artist.
Right.
Like it's just like who we are.
Okay.
So it's like I'm trying to work on a show where I go, okay, this is. You might feel like a cup and you feel like crap and nothing's much going on and life really. I have it like I usually have a microphone here. Life really bites into you. Life bites into you and you're thrown around and your head gets thrown around and then you don't know what to do and you've got to like you stretch yourself out. You stretch yourself out on the ground. You put your arms out and then you're lying there. You're still lying there. What are you going to do? You don't know how you're going to get up. And I'm doing this I was doing this at markets a little bit, and then I'll say, you've got to get your legs. You've got to get your legs. Your legs are there. You're feeling yourself, and you're walking. Suddenly you're walking. You're walking around. You got your thing, and then wait a minute. You got your heart there, and you can fly because I'm throwing stuff around like that. And I had on my art, and I'd say you can make art out of anything. I said you got a mobile phone. Throw away the mobile phone. It's the box that you can create with. It's the box that's more important. I get that, and I'm trying to make stuff you can just do. And anyway, I had my permit. I paid my $40, and I had all this stuff. And then I had this because I recently had a brain tumour operation. So the neurosurgeons were going to ring me at 2:00. So I thought I'll grab my phone, and then it was too late, and I don't usually use a mobile much. So I came, and then I had all my stuff there, all my and then these two. It wasn't even just the lower inspectors. The two head guys of the head guys come and go, what are you doing, Trevor? Apparently you've been throwing rubbish around. Like I said, there's my permit. Oh, well, are you in the right place? Is this the right time? Is this the kind of thing like this? And I said, anyway, I happen to have my phone in my hand. I said, listen, mate. I said, I've got a permit because I've just had hassled. I thought, no, I paid you $40. I've got the thing. I'm doing the right thing.
Yep.
So then I filmed them. I said, hey, you're harassing me. What's your name? This is my permit. I got a permit. And I did like that. And they said, righto, because you did that, we're cancelling your permit. They cancelled it. And then they said, you got to leave right now. You got to leave the thing. I said, I don't have to leave. I'm here in the middle of the mall. Why can't I be? You've got to take your stuff. I said, I'm not going to. I got a phone call. I'm ringing up the guys from from my tumour operation, my neurosurgery.
Yeah.
I've been waiting about 6 months for this, the thing. I got, so then they said, you got to leave. I said, I'm not going to leave. And then they called the blue guys up. The blue guys come around. Oh, Mr. Jenkins, you got to leave. I said, I've got a permit. No, your permit's been cancelled. I said, what do you mean? I paid $40. My permit has me like this. And then they tried to grab it. I grabbed it back. Oh, you've assaulted me because I said, it's my permit. I said, I'm not doing anything wrong. You got to leave. I'm not going to leave. And then I hadn't, for years, I escalated. I said, F you, and then I walked right down to the thing. I filmed them. I said, and then they took all the stuff, put all the stuff at the back of the thing, like I'm this weird guy. I said, I haven't done nothing wrong. I got a permit. And then you were just making all this crap. And I got really upset. But then it just keeps happening in all places. And I just thought, well, what are you supposed to do? I don't know. How do I can't. That day, it was a Friday, I went out to Palmerston paid $5, did exactly the same thing and made $70 at the market doing exactly the same thing at Palmerston. Exactly the same thing. But then they were saying, then I looked in and one of the shopkeepers were there and it looked like they had rang up and said, oh, this guy's like this. I was doing a show. And it's like the amount of times I've been kicked off buses because you collect rubbish. You collect rubbish. You're dirty. You collect, and it goes like that.
Yeah.
And
so
then
is that your reputation preceding you a bit, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also, it goes right back to the jail thing and the small-mindedness. It's like, you're dirty, you're no one, you're this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And for some people, it's like, you don't take something like that and make something out of it. Like, that's there, I put it in the bin, I'm respectable, like this is how you, if I did that. So now I've got my hair cut and everything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really, really like it, but I'm trying to be more, conform a bit and be respectable. And maybe someone said you can't really meet a girl because if you don't look like crap. So I'm trying. I've been seeing a psychologist, and then the last thing. This is the latest. Okay, so this is Trevor post whatever from whatever since, and I said, look, I don't. I mean, I was at the Salvation Army, and there was people there that were. There was like caseworkers and different people, and they were working with the young Aboriginal guys there, and there was a young caseworking girl there, and I sort of wanted to talk to her, and then the young Aboriginal guys were talking to her and like really natural, hi, how you going? And I'm like absolutely uptight. I was like, I can't even say hello, And I'm going, wait a minute, what, It just got me on the. Oh, I'm trying to help these people, but then I'm thinking they're like this, and then wait a minute, I don't even really know how to naturally, especially with women, and it's a lot to do with my mother and different things, and my dad, and anyway, so it was like a schema. They work out this schema with a psychologist because I went to a mental health plan, and it's like the schema was distrust and not really. People are going to use you, like people. So my mind just goes ahead. Oh, if I meet this girl, she's got to be this, and then maybe we've got to be married, and she's got to say this, she's got to like that. So I just go, oh my God. Then I just go, like I did when I was a kid. I just go, oh, I'll just go over here and I'll be an artist and do this thing and pick up rubbish,
Right.
But I don't grow really. I'm not really growing.
Okay.
Because then I go into a social situation. Okay, I'm Trevor like this. But I'm petrified. Like I'm going, oh no, I've got to go over and there's a girl that I find attractive. So then my homework of this is like talk to 20 girls and say hello. I still haven't done it, but that was like think 1%, just do that and just like practice because that's basically. It's just practice. All the other things I've done, but the social thing I just really haven't. I've avoided. So I've started to try to really integrate my personality and feel more comfortable. I mean, feel more comfortable with my sexuality. So not like, oh, I'm thinking sexually, I feel really dirty. I'm going to take, if I go over and talk to someone, they're going to think I'm looking at porn. Like, I'm thinking all that all the time.
Right.
It's like, psychologist said, turn off the big brain. Turn off the big brain just like, and just like that.
Okay.
And so... But I'm still practicing that. So that's the other side of Trevor the Rubbish Warrior. Like I'm like a 15-year-old kid, and I'm really out of my depth with all that.
Yeah.
Although I could sit with someone and go, "Oh, you're having problems with your marriage," and I love like that. But the reality of me is like ridiculous like that. Like so I'm working through that side really. Okay. So. In some ways, I wouldn't mind because that just keeps coming up. So, I stood for Parliament, I've done this, you're Trevor the Rubbish.
Yeah.
So even I've been going to a really good church, but even they sort of like, people think I'm trying to come in and take over something. And I'm nothing like that at all. Right. So like I was going to this a Gilween Baptist church and the pastor would drive and I was setting up all the chairs and everything. Then they thought, because I was setting up the chairs and getting the cup of tea ready and all that I was trying to run the place.
Right.
And that always becomes a problem. I become so organised, so thing.
Yep.
And you see so many. So you go into I go into the jail. I see all the problems. I'm calling. They have a thing called super parade. So you see the superintendent.
Yep.
So I work away and got super parades. So I talk to the superintendent, and then I'd say about things. Well, they don't like that. They just, and I said to the superintendent, I said, I'd really like to help you make a better jail, and they're like this. Oh, you'd be the last person who we'd ever talk to. And you go, oh, okay, well, what? You know, like you can't. And it's the same in a lot of areas. Like I sit there, and it's like I see the bigger picture, but then, like a prison writing thing is what they need out there. They could do stuff like that, but they don't. Who are they going to trust to get going? No one else has got to take a thing of that. You know, the youth thing on the youth with the street. I know what sort of needs to get done, but then the people who come in and train are just these young kids to do it. You know, it's like they got young caseworkers at the Salvation Army that they don't know enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
They end up getting sexually involved with each other because they're too all emotionally involved, and it's not. There's no depth, and they want young people coming in and do something. And the kind of people that young kids want to go in and do IT. They don't want to do a social work degree or something like that. And then you're dealing with. I mean, the classic thing is that they don't want all these kids to go to jail. Are you gonna be the youth worker that sits there and someone's saying, fuck you, can't, fuck you, like every freaking single day, and then taking that back and working with those kids like that, and then they don't turn up and and they're stealing cars and like that? Are you going to work with that? Like, if you don't want someone, in the end, what I want, jail, I suppose we can end on this thing. Like, when I was in jail, it's like, the one passage was, thank God you're in jail. And so I stood there in this cell and I said, okay, I say that. I said, oh, thank God I'm here, God. I thank God I'm here with this Grid Island guy that looks like he wants to kill me. Thank God I'm in this cell, and thank God about this the guards coming in. And then when I started to do it, suddenly everything changed. Like, it was like, oh, God's saying, oh, you're talking to me. You're talking like it's like me sitting in here and going, oh, what's this, Stuart? I said, Rod, instead of going, oh, wow, thanks for being here. This is great. You know, I could sit here and go, oh, I've had better microphones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was like, when I did that, the whole thing changed. Like, literally, I was in that cell.
So was it just being appreciative of what you had or
thanking God?
Thanking God.
Literally, he listens to you.
Yeah.
He's listened to you. So, like, at the end of the day, it's like, wow, thanks for doing this at Next Gen North, talking to Stuart, having these guys out there doing that. Thanks for this opportunity. Like, thanks for the competition. Like, bang, the whole thing. It's beautiful, you know. And then just doing that. Thank God I got on the bus. Just little things even. Thanks for the driver doing this. Thanks for that. And then you really go. And Paul in the Bible thanks because he goes to jail. Thanks because he gets beaten up. He gets things like that.
Yep.
And then you really relate to, okay, Jesus' sacrifice. He died. He died on the cross. So then that's like the pain, the sacrifice, the getting beaten up, the getting scourged. You can see it through, you know, that.
Yeah.
What is that about? No one else does. No one does that. No one does that.
Yeah.
And he's a real person. So then you look at everyone in life. It's like, I'm going around picking up rubbish. I'm trying to be this amazing guy. I fall completely down. What's the reality in me? The reality in me is I look at porn, I do that, I can't talk to women. You know, I'm not going to save anyone. You know, and then you realise Jesus is real. He couldn't be killed because he was God, so he went to heaven. You really pray to him. That's a real thing. It's not about I could make 20 million of these. I could go and if you went down to Melbourne or somewhere, got 200 of the best social workers, put them on the street and work something, you wouldn't have a major change.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. As much as people say, oh, the Greens will come out and say we want this to happen. If you take jail seriously, get in there and work, do all the things that you need to do that thing, do your time, come out, work as hard as you can, you're a better person. Jail's good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's how you look at it. It's really how you look at it. It's kind of like I now don't think, I really look, all that time when those things were people being nice, it made me a lot lazy in a lot of ways. And getting back into working, having to buy things, having to organise myself, eat good food, make things like that, I'm only just getting back into that discipline now.
Yeah.
And so that's the other side of being a crazy artist or whatever. You know, you can't. A lot of it's a story, you know, and so even that, I don't know, as a young girl, Maluma May and Uprising of the People, when you want to close a jail and that. Well, I mean, go out and find out. Go in, you know, this work. You're gonna have to work with the prison guards and that to do something. Jail's not got to go anywhere.
Yep.
And you have people who are absolutely uncontrollable. So guys have said to me, thank God I went to jail because I would have killed someone, because some people get to the point, they're untouchable, they're taking drugs, they don't care. So some of these young kids, they couldn't give a shit about driving a car into some place. They couldn't give a shit about stabbing someone. If they're not in jail, they're out of control. That's just not, and there's certain, you get up to about the point of 25. I had a friend say to me, if I wasn't there, I would have just murdered someone. If I wasn't there for that 8 years, I would have killed someone because I couldn't give a shit. And so that it's real. And I think that it's just as important as any other play. And if you look in anything that you do, you thank God it's a blessing. It works. That's what I found.
Yep.
And then it's like me to you. Like if I thank you, think like that, bang, it's perfect, isn't it? If I say, thanks Stuart, that's really great. Then you feel great. I feel great. It works. It's the same with God. God's made everything. He's done everything. Then he gives me my gifts. If I say, oh, thank God, then he can work on that. And then I've still got to, it's a narrow road. I still got to work on myself, you know? So like I got to work on not looking at porn or not lusting, like all those things. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But you've got God working in you with that. So that's more or less, you know, I don't know. I mean, I've really thought of, like I've got money with my parents. There's 300 grand in the bank, and I'm getting interest of about 1,700 for a month. Yep. And I put that in, but I still do my cans and live on the street and eat out of bins like I did. I don't care. It's not. I don't really believe in it. If I thought there was something I could do with buying a property or doing things, but then I found out it's not until you get up to about $1 million that it becomes self-perpetuating and you can get money coming out. You know, so money's a big reality. Yep. But your own maturity too. You know, like I'd like to be. I used to really give them my whole self, helping people, going around, even picking up rubbish, doing things till midnight, come up, get up the next day. Yep. I was exhausted. I can do all that. I can give them myself. But then I go back, I'm living in this tiny little room somewhere. I'm by myself. I'm lonely. I can't, you know, I just get burnt out to the F. And a lot of people you see up here, they give their whole life to Aboriginal people, street people, homeless people, whatever. Yep. They're gone. They don't have a balanced life. And at the end of the day, I ended up seeing, now I just look at kids and family and I don't know if I'll ever do that, but that just seems like the way, you know, like that's going to raise a family more than, I don't know how many people you're ever going to change on that other point. I'm not saying it's not worth it, but I mean, it's in order for all the, say you've got 1,000 street people in Darwin, how many people would have to give up their whole life? 100 people or 200 people to give up their whole life to get those people off the street, be feeding them every day, organise them, like, you know? Yeah. Then they're stopping their life and they're not raising their kids and doing everything. Like, you balance that out, you know? And I think that it ends up being, I sung a song, I got sort of half cancelled, but there was this, the last thing I performed, there was a protest thing with Kevin McCarthy. And then these people from Happy Yes said, we're not allowing you to we're taking your name off the gig because several women have said that they would be scared for you to be like this. And so I said, well, I don't even really talk to women that much. What happened? Tell me about we don't know what the incident was. Then I sent an email to a fellow and then he sent an email back and oh, white guys should just shut the F up, and you voted no, you're not allowed to vote no on a no campaign, and you put sing and rubbish. That's the real reason. It had nothing to do with that. They're just making it up.
Yeah.
Anyway, I went and sung a song. The song I sung, and I sung it, I said, was there's no... the chorus basically was, there ain't no voice that I can see that personal responsibility. That's what I said. So, like, I mean, eventually, every single one of those people have got to kind of decide, I've got to get up and do something because they're the only ones that got to do it. Do you know?
Yeah,
and
well, I think that's a good... We might just wrap up there,
right,
Trevor.
good,
if that's right. Like, I think that's a good note to finish on,
Yeah,
mate.
yeah,
So
cool,
if you
man.
don't mind. I think you said you were a bit tired before as
Yeah,
well.
I am
so.
too, yeah.
But we appreciate you coming in today, mate.
Thanks.
Thanks very much. It's particularly your insights into jail. I think that was really valuable. So thanks, mate. We might have to get you on for another chat because there's a lot of like your political runs and Australia's Got Talent, that sort of thing that I'd like to talk to you about. But that might be for another time, I reckon.
They said you can do a plug on the bottom of that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Would you like to plug something?
22nd of June.
Come to the mic.
22nd of June at the Busted Town from about 2 o'clock till 4 o'clock.
Yep.
I'm doing a show. It's free. Anyone can come. It's like a performance. It's called The Greatest Artist Who Ever Lived, Yes You Are. It's like a live thing, interactive. Come along.
Yep.
Learn how to sing, learn how to rap, learn how to do poetry, learn how to make art out of rubbish, learn how to interact. So that's completely free.
Come down and check out some local artists. Thanks, Trevor. Appreciate it, mate.
Yeah,
Cheers.
Thanks, man.